Hello and welcome to NPS Now, your source for news and information about Norfolk Public Schools. I'm your host, Karen Tanner. And as I'm very excited to have these two very special guests with us today, we have Jaelin Mitchell of Booker T. Washington High School and Shaefer Shelton of Granby High School, who are also our school board representatives. Welcome to NPS Now.
Thank you.
I'm glad to have you both. It's almost over, y'all.
Yes.
Counting down the days. Well, great. A lot of folks have heard the fact that you were serving as school board representatives, but I want you to tell us just a little bit about yourselves, your extracurricular activities, college and career and future. So I'll start with you, Jaelin.
Oh, all right. Well,
Make it quick. No, I'm just kidding.
well, my name is Jaelin, as most of everybody knows by this point. I'm a senior at Booker T. Washington High School. I started in Norfolk Public Schools in 5th grade when I started at Richard Boland Elementary School, and then I became a young scholar at Ruffner Academy and Norview Middle School, and now I'm at Booker T. I also go to the Governor's School for the Arts, where I'm in the vocal music department, and I've been for the past 4 years. I do a lot of extracurricular activities inside of Booker T and in Governor's School. I do a lot of performances and shows with Governor's School and local regional companies. So, yeah.
You sing opera too.
I do.
Great. How about you, Shaefer?
I'll follow Jaelin's lead. So I'm Shaefer. I'm a senior at Granby High School, and I'm in the IB program there. And so that's where I really started my journey with NPS, is going to Granby and being part of that program. And for the past 3 years, I've been on the volleyball team and the tennis team. And then I also participate in our chapter of the Spanish Honor Society and the National Honor Society. So I really enjoy all of that. And then this year specifically, being a senior, I do just some senior class activities I really enjoy.
You guys are busy.
Yes.
A little bit.
So tell us, what are your future college and career?
Well, I'll be attending George Mason University, double majoring in vocal performance and music education. So, yeah, I'm excited.
Yes, I can tell. What about you, Shaefer?
And then I'll be attending the University of Virginia, where I plan on majoring in political science and minoring in psychology.
So what made you want to join the school board as a student rep, Jaelin?
It had always been my dream to serve my community. I had always been an activist for my peers. I started in a youth organization called Teams with a Purpose. And so while I was there, it kind of changed my mind on how the world works and how students and kids, per se, can shape the way that our adults think, especially the adults that make decisions for us. And so it was always important that I take this role. So when Dr. Boone created the position, when she came back to Norfolk, it was perfect, because I was like, oh yeah, here we go.
So you get a voice.
Right, exactly.
How about you, Shaefer?
I wasn't really aware of the position until I applied. I had heard and watched some of the meetings and known there were student representatives, but I really wasn't sure how the process went. But where I sort of started was, as I mentioned before, I was part of programs at Granby and trying to work through those programs and hear students' voices through those mediums. I wanted to get sort of a broader look at what students wanted across NPS. And so when the position came up, I was like, well, this is interesting. You know, I had never really done something so large before, but something I was really interested in was, yes, hearing the student voices, but also how administration works and all things like that.
Right. So Jaelin, what's your role on the school board?
Well, my job is to get information from the 33,000 students that we have inside Norfolk Public Schools to our school board members. So what Shaefer and I did this year in order to get the input from all Norfolk Public School students, instead of just saying what we believe, was we created these principal advisory councils at each of the schools. Therefore, we can meet with students at each of the secondary high school and some of the elementary schools as well to see how the students feel about certain issues that the school board may ask about. So the school board comes to me and says, we want to know what the students feel about this, that, and the third, and I take it to the principal advisory councils, which is comprised of students from all walks of life. I was very clear in making sure that we did not just get the straight A students. As one of those students, I would love to be a part of it, but that does not accurately reflect the mindset of the entire district when you just get one type of student. So it was very important to get all types of students. So we have the athletes, we have the straight A students, we have the people who might not have straight A's, but we want to know, why aren't you getting straight A's? Why aren't you at that level yet? What can we do as a district to help you get there?
Right, exactly. And that's great that they have that opportunity for students. So Shaefer, what other activities were you involved in as part as a school board representative?
So this kind of really stemmed from what we did with our individual packs. So I met with students at Granby, my home school, and Maury. And then Jaelin, of course, met with Norview, Lake Taylor, and Booker T. Washington. And so something that specifically to me, and Jaelin was really helpful in this too, but with Maury, we really worked with their gardening clubs there and to get ideas of how to be more sustainable across NPS, and just, do you want to add? I mean, just we just talked about all things that live a more greener life.
Right,
and so
right.
That was really great because it started something small. We walked into Maury, not really sure what we were going to go with, and then students came in and was like, hey, we have this really great club here, and it just kind of broadened after that.
So do you all have any preconceived ideas or notions about serving on the board?
I did.
What did you think?
I did not know what to expect, honestly, because our school board this year was the first elected school board. But based off of previous years, I thought it was going to be more like the Supreme Court, and we were all going to be in black robes, and I was just going to, I was like, you just keep your head down, and but no, they are really open to ideas, which is really great. I truly believe if you're going to be a public servant, you have to listen to what the public has to say, and if you're going to be a public servant for the schools, then you have to listen to what the students say. We can't have schools without the students, and so eventually you have to realize that without what the students want or need, then what are you catering to? Why even apply to have a job?
Right. So Shaefer, did you have any preconceived ideas of this role?
Yeah, I was a little worried, sort of past endeavors where it was just going to be me, because we didn't know each other before we had this, so I was a little worried. It's okay, it's just going to be me, and just have to figure it out, because I'm the alternate student rep, so I was like, I don't know who this Jaelin kid is. Is he going to be open for my help? But he 100% is, and I feel like I'm going to talk about you for a minute, but he's been a real, guiding force through all of it, because like I mentioned, I really didn't know what the position was going to be, and so walking into it, I felt like I had support both from the actual school board members themselves, and then also Jaelin, and so I was a little concerned. I was like, I'm just going to go in and jump right into the deep end and see what happens. But
that was the same for me. There's not a book that tells you how to do this job. I'm only the third person to hold the position.
Right.
And so I did have help from the previous two, and they gave me their advice. But there's no rule book to do this. And so we're basically doing what we feel is right. And we make sure that we do what's in the best interest for the students.
Right. So what surprised you both about serving in this capacity?
I would say, that's kind of tough. I would say the balance that's needed. So when I think of myself and my friends and those who I talked to before I got in this position, it was things like we don't like our lunches, or we don't like our dress code, and things like that. And I think sort of had this very I'm the center of the world perspective, or we are the center. But then coming into this, I at least had to realize there's a lot that goes into schools. And I think I was sort of aware before, but it just surprised me afterwards. Okay, well, yeah, maybe me wanting to wear something is important, but having enough school lunches for kids is important, or having the right times. That was an issue this year, having the right start times for students. I was like, yeah, later times, that sounds good. But then I had to open my eyes of what are all the factors.
Right.
So I think that was something.
Right. What surprised you, Jaelin?
I guess the fact that not everything, I just came from Booker T, and so I had always looked at everything through one lens instead of trying to go through the other sides of the city to see what's going on over there. I've always been stuck on Booker T needs the most help. We are struggling. Money. Booker T.
Caused you to open your eyes.
Exactly. So the most surprising factor was although we do need help at Booker T, all the schools need help. And so they need help on different levels and different factors and with different things. But all of the schools need help, and they want help from not only the school board, but the district as a whole. The saying that it takes a village, it doesn't only take a village to raise a child, but it takes a village to raise 33,000 students. And so daily, it is my mission to make sure that these students are able to get through with their village. You know, so it surprised me that Booker T wasn't the only one that needed help.
Made you open your eyes to the school
Right,
district.
exactly.
So what did you enjoy the most, Shaefer?
I would say meeting different students and understanding, kind of to piggyback on what Jaelin said, that we're not cookie cutter schools.
Right.
So the needs that you have at your school can be very different than those at other schools. And I'm just talking high schools here, but then you have to realize, well, elementary and the middle schools, and
yeah.
everyone has different needs. And so I think I enjoyed the most having my eyes open to that, but then having them opened by students. I think that was something that we don't see enough is student involvement. And so going to the schools and not having to pull students, be like, tell me, but students come to you and say, this is what we need and what we want. I think that was really rewarding.
What did you enjoy the most?
I really like reading.
So you went to the schools?
I
and read to the
did.
kids?
So I went to a lot of, actually I went to, I believe by next week it'll be all of the elementary schools.
Really?
And I was able to read to the students in the schools. I love Dr. Seuss Week. I also love the fact that Norfolk isn't the only district in the area that has student reps. So there's Portsmouth, there's Newport News, and there's Hampton. And we've all gained and created a bond throughout our districts as a student reps that I don't think anybody else in the Commonwealth can create, because we're all, you know, in this together. We're all in the same area. We share some similar struggles with each other school districts. And so we're able to talk to each other. How do you combat this? How do you go about this? And we're able to see.
And you supporting one another.
Exactly.
So Shaefer, how will this experience help you after high school?
I think understand how to communicate with others is a key aspect of being a school board representative, and being able to compromise with others and seeing multiple sides of an issue. And so I think that's a skill I've definitely learned and will help me in the future, and, you know, through college, but also just life in general.
So Jaelin, how do you think this experience will help you after high school?
I believe that it will further my belief that we are to raise our future and raise our future correctly. Serving this year has been the greatest accomplishment I could ever even imagine. I never in a million years would think that I would be able and have this privilege to serve all of these students inside of this wonderful district. But I do. And so I think the greatest thing that I'll take away from that is the hope that there is a future for tomorrow. I get to see kids playing in recess and reading daily, and going to the middle schools and seeing them learning how to code, and going to the high schools and seeing them in their CTE classes, and seeing them in their core classes, and seeing them in their arts classes, and just seeing what the future holds from Norfolk. We just recently had the Something in the Water Festival, and I'm proud to say that it's something in the water in Norfolk too. I mean, we have great
Something to think
students
about.
here. Exactly.
Right.
Exactly.
So Shaefer,
Yeah.
what would you tell someone considering to be a student representative? What advice would you give them?
I would say know that it's going to take a lot of your time, but know it's going to be worth it.
Right.
And that you have to be really efficient. And if you want to do something, I would say have it ready. Like, know from the very start. I think that was one of my, I don't want to say issues, but at the beginning I was sort of timid and, oh, this is something I want to do, but I don't know about everyone else. And so I think you also just need to rely, because, you know, I rely on Jaelin and we talk through things. And so just be very communicative, yes. And just know that I think also everyone wants you to succeed. So, you know, all the adults, all the students, they are relying on you and they want you to do well. So just remember that.
So what advice would you give someone considering coming to this role?
Be ready and be adaptable. It's always a changing game because you never know what may happen. Our school board is, like I said, it's a brand new board. They are brand new elected, and so they have to figure out how to make sure that we get all of the information across in the way that we want to. The other thing is to make sure that you are ready to answer any questions at any time. And so my biggest thing this year was, even though I feel like I've done the best that I could do, there's always room for improvement. Mm-hmm. So just making sure that you're adaptable to any situation. You never know what might happen. Inside, not only inside of the meetings, but inside of Norfolk Public Schools as a district, which is a good thing. You know, we tend to expect one thing, but if something else happens, you have to be okay with it, right? Because that's how life works. And so I just say be adaptable and make sure that you are able to handle.
Great advice from our school board student representative this year. Thank you for your service on the board, and congratulations on your upcoming graduations.
Thank you.
Thank you for coming on the show today.
Thank you.
And we want you to stay tuned for more NPS Now.
Welcome back to NPS Now. I'm Steve Sutmiller, Senior Coordinator of Athletics. Today in the studio, we have two special guests. We have two student athletes here. We have Chaniqwa Gilliam from Lake Taylor High School. Welcome.
Thanks.
And we have Antwan Epps from Granby High School. Welcome.
Thank you.
We have you down here to talk about the success of both of you and what student athletes, and you are the model of what student athletes are. So Chaniqwa, we're going to start with you. Talk about how you've grown up in Norfolk Public Schools first.
Oh yeah, I started at Jacob Elementary School, and then I went to Ruffner. Now I'm currently at Lake Taylor.
Okay, Antwan?
I started at Richard Bowling Elementary School, what was then Bowling Park, middle school at Blair, and now high school at Granby High School.
Great. All right, so different roads, different schools. So let's talk a little bit. You guys got to your high school careers. You had a great career. At the end, you achieved something that what we would like to see all student athletes do, and that's to get a college scholarship. So let's talk about Chaniqwa. Where did you choose?
I chose to go to the College of William and Mary.
Okay, let's talk a little bit about that because it's a little different for both of you. You signed late.
Yes.
In the process. So talk about that process and how William and Mary was your choice.
I signed late because a lot of schools started to contact me. Later on, I was just waiting to see how the process played out. But I had offers from schools like Norfolk State, UNCW, High Point, Presbyterian. But I had chose William and Mary because I just felt like it was the best fit for me. You know, it's not too far from home. They had a good program, and the field which I'm interested in, which is kinesiology. And when I had visited there, they just made me feel welcome, like I was at home, and it just don't get no better than that. So yeah.
All right. Well, I mean, you picked a great school, and you got a good major too.
Yeah.
So, all right, Antwan, you signed early.
Mm-hmm.
You got it off your plate. You were able to enjoy your senior year. So, talk about that process on how you ended up at Hampton University.
My recruiting process didn't pick up really until my sophomore year in high school. As a freshman, I picked up a couple of Division II offers, and then my sophomore year is when the Division I started rolling in. My junior year is when I decided to commit to Hampton University because of all the sickness I was going through. And the process, I mean, it's fun. You can't take nothing away from it. Enjoy it while you can, but I chose Hampton because it's not far from home. It feels like home. The connection I have with the coaches and players they like family. So. And the style of play that Hampton plays is how I like to play. Mm-hmm. So that's why I chose Hampton University.
Okay. So with you, what other schools showed some interest?
I had offers from Georgia Southern, Southern University, VCU was showing interest, Norfolk State, ODU, Virginia Tech was showing interest, but they never really offered, like Hampton offered a full scholarship. So that's part of the reason why I chose Hampton as well.
All right. So tell us, how did that feel once you got the offer, you signed?
It's the best feeling in the world. Well, it's a dream come true because, like I said, after everything I've been through, I never knew I would be a Division I basketball player. It's an unreal feeling. So,
okay. So how did you feel? You're a Division I basketball player as well.
I could agree with him saying that it's the best feeling ever to know that I had worked so hard for something that I was finally achieving it. So, yeah.
Okay. So, all right, guys, congratulations on both signings. So let's talk a little bit about the season. We all know the end result for Lake Taylor High School, the Lady Titans again state champions. So talk a little bit about the season and how you were able to win that state championship.
It was long. We had worked extremely hard to come out on top, and we had to face a lot of adversities, like players getting injured. It was at one point where like our whole team was in the training room every day before practice. Well, I wasn't, but yes, it was a long road.
Yeah, so I mean, you had to definitely change your game a little bit, step up because JJ went down, Mo went down. So talk a little bit about changing the way you had to play a little bit.
Yeah, it was definitely unfortunate that they had got hurt, but before, okay, so I was playing shooting guard basically the whole season, and JJ was at point guard. But when she had got hurt, I had to move to point guard. But before I came to Lake Taylor, I was already playing point guard, so it was okay. I was comfortable. Okay.
Well, you did a heck of a job, and you got that ring and that trophy back home. So congratulations. All right, Antwan. Senior year, you get your little brother to show up to be part of the team. So talk a little bit about the Granby season, and then just playing alongside your showing the way for your brother.
Playing with Granby this season that's probably one of the best seasons Granby had in a while since they won a state championship about 20 years ago. Playing with my little brother was fun. Learning a lot from him, and I'm sure he's learned a lot from me. He has a long road ahead of him, a lot more to learn. But as the season progressed, we stuck together. We learned a lot from each other. Learned a lot from Coach Mike Evans, the players we had, and like all in all, it was just a fun season. We came up short in the regionals, but I wouldn't take that season away.
Yeah. So, how did it feel to be that leader, not only for your brother, but really for the whole team?
It felt good, just knowing that the team can believe in me and what I'm doing to get a win, and it prepares me for the next level of what I'm going to be in college, because in college, that's how it's going to be. I'm going to have to be more of a vocal leader, more of a point guard for my team, and more of a coach on the floor.
Okay. All right, Chaniqwa, let's you've got a lot of support from your coaches, obviously. Coach Sawyer does her thing, but you also had your dad as one of the coaches. So talk a little bit about that relationship, good or bad.
It's good. It's definitely a blessing. I mean, he's always been coaching me since I was younger, so I've always had him behind me, supporting me every step of the way.
Okay. Now, Antwan, how about Coach Mike? I mean, talk about his input and how he helped your game.
I've been knowing Coach Mike since AAU days. I was young. I've been playing under him since my freshman year. He's like a father figure on the court, off the court. He makes sure I'm okay, makes sure I have what I need to be successful. One of the best coaches I play under. Would love to play under him some more, but now it's time to move on to college.
Okay. All right. So, being a student athlete, a lot of challenges. So, Chaniqwa, talk a little bit about, how you balanced basketball, schoolwork, and even that, hopefully have a little bit of a social life. Talk about that as a student athlete.
As far as a social life, most of my friends are basketball players, so we kind of just make time when we can, and then school is what comes first. So I just always try to keep my head in the books, and then everything else just falls in place behind.
Okay. Well, again, getting that scholarship to William & Mary, you did a great job with your academics. All right. So Antwan, talk a little. I mean, again, you got a lot of things on your plate. So how do you balance that?
Like she said, school always comes first. Make sure you knock out the schoolwork. Study when you can, when you need to, and everything else will fall in place. School. I try to make sure I get my 1 to 2 basketball workouts in a day before I do anything else, and make sure I knock out all my schoolwork. And after that, I relax or do whatever it is that I want to do.
Okay. So what kind of player and person is Hampton University getting in Antwan?
They're getting a winner, someone who knows how to win, someone who knows how to lead their team to victory, and someone that anybody on the floor or anybody in the stands can learn from. I just want to be known as a role model, someone who has a positive influence on people's lives.
Okay, very nice. Chaniqwa, what's William & Mary getting?
I definitely agree with him when he say they're getting a winner. As you can see, I just came off for winning the state championship. But yeah, they also are getting a leader as well. I've always been playing point guard or like leading at other things. Like I do like ROTC and stuff like that. So yeah, someone that's nitty gritty.
All right. Well, you know, we're going to put you on the spot. What kind of advice would you give some fellow student athletes right now to obtain the goals that they want?
Always just work hard. Be a student athlete. Student comes first. Yeah, just keep your heads in the books.
Okay. All right. Antwan, what kind of advice?
I agree with her. Like she said, being a student athlete first. The student becomes before being an athlete. Just stay humble. You know, do what you want to do. Don't let anyone pressure you on doing something you don't want to do. Do what makes you happy, and whatever makes you happy, you work at it and until you're at your best.
Okay. Well, again, Norfolk Public Schools, Lake Taylor High School, Granby High School, couldn't be more proud of your accomplishments and the success that you've earned. And we wish you good luck at the next level, and we will definitely be following.
Thank you.
More NPS Now after this.
We want to thank you for watching NPS Now. It airs weekly on WNPS Channel 47, or you can view us online at www.npsk12.com. If you have any great story ideas or events happening at your school, email us at nps_news@npsk12.com. Again, we want to thank you for watching NPS Now.